This is Uprising. I'm Sonali Kohatkar. Here is perhaps one of the most disturbing statistics in the entire United States. Native American children today experience post-traumatic stress disorder from violence at rates similar to veterans of the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. A new report by the Attorney General's Advisory Committee on American Indian and Alaska Native Children Exposed to Violence has reiterated what many who pay attention to these issues already knew, that there is an epidemic of violence facing Indigenous American children, and that a lack of resources, poor educational and healthcare facilities, and a broken juvenile justice system are the main reasons why there is such an epidemic. More than a year in the making, the report attempts to lay out a blueprint for addressing the challenges of violence facing children. My guest is Sarah Deer. She is an associate professor of law at William Mitchell College of Law and a citizen of the Muskogee Creek Nation of Oklahoma. Welcome to Uprising, Sarah.
Thank you.
Well, thanks so much for joining us. Now, hundreds of people from dozens of Indian nations participated in these hearings that were the basis of this report that was produced. How important is this report? And do any of its findings about violence that children face, do any of those even surprise you?
Well, I do think the report is groundbreaking in a number of ways. I know that, for instance, there have been reports in the past, but this one has specific recommendations. But no, the statistics did not surprise me, and most of the people I know who work in Indian country were not surprised.
So let's talk about these just horrifying statistics. More than 60% of all Native children are exposed to violence. More than 60%, that's a majority. More than 40% experience 2 or more acts of violence. I mean, this is unimaginable. We might expect children living in the occupied Palestinian territories or in Syria, where there's this horrible war going on, to experience such levels of violence. Why are these levels so high, and what forms of violence do we see that children are exposed to?
Well, the continuum of violence starts with something maybe as simple as a scuffle at a high school, all the way to witnessing a homicide of a parent, and everything in between. I think that one of the main reasons this rate is so high has to do with the historical context in which Native people exist today, and that context is one of extreme violence, and there's never really been an intervention for it. And so today our legal system that's supposed to protect our children, our most vulnerable people, doesn't have the authority or the power to step in cases of violence. And so that leaves children without protection.